It's been over 2 years since we first pulled the 280Z into this garage, and today we're going to attempt to start the 2JZ swap. Yeah, that's right, it's finally time to try to start this thing for the first time. What's going on, guys? Brian back with Block Garage, and the 280Z, I believe, is ready for its first crank. I did a bunch of work yesterday to catch you guys up. We have power all wired in. It's not 100% done. We got a battery back here. We got a circuit breaker, 200 amp. We got battery cable running to the front. It's grounded. Obviously, I'm not connected right now. I got some temporary wiring back here to my fuel pump because that is not ready to go. We haven't done the chassis harness yet. We got some temporary switches up here for ignition and crank. We got a bulkhead connector here on the firewall for power going over to the starter and to the alternator so it'll charge. I think we're ready to go. I did a whole bunch of work last night after that was done when I went in the house to get my base map ready in ECUMaster software. Had to learn a bunch, but I think we're ready. Or as ready as we can be at this point anyway. I've got this whole stack first start checklist here that we got to go through. I've done a lot of it, but I haven't done all of it, so we got to go through that. I'm not going to probably walk you guys through the ECUMaster software just because I've never used it before. I'll probably do that once we get to actually tuning the car. Ignore this mess in here right now. This will all be cleaned up, but we got temporary connections in here just so we can start the car today, and then we'll move on because I want to hear this thing run. Now, we can't run it for long because we don't have any radiator hoses. We got no coolant in it. But we can start it and let it run for 30 seconds or whatever, just so we know that it runs and there's no massive issues with the 2JZ, because remember, that thing has been completely gone through. The bottom end is built. This thing we had stripped down to completely nothing. All it's done is turn over by hand. So I really, really want to hear this thing run. And also, today's actually my birthday, so this would be a great present for me to get this thing started today. All right, so the first thing we gotta do is load our base map that we built into the ECUMaster ECU. By the way, I'm running an ECUMaster Black because I went with the ECUMaster. It was either, I was choosing between ECUMaster and Haltech. ECUMaster, for the price, offered more features. And I hadn't used ECUMaster or Haltech at all. The only thing I've ever tuned on is GM vehicles with HP tuners, so I don't have any familiarity with either one. ECUMaster seems to be pretty popular with the 2J world. It's a more budget-friendly but well-supported standalone. There's plenty of documentation out there. And I actually went through a few videos last night on YouTube, followed them step by step. But ECUMaster also provides generic base maps for the popular engines that they support. So there is a base map available that I downloaded for a 2JZ VVTi with sequential smart coils, because this originally used batch coils. So it was very close, but we had to do a bunch of changes still. But anyways, it's ready, I believe, so we got to get loaded in. So I'm going to go hook up the battery. All right, we got power everywhere. You know what? I want to do something first real quick. Let's see if it even cranks. Because I've got power up here to these switches I put in. This is going to be the ignition. This is going to be the start switch. Obviously, I'm going to eventually hook up to the column, but this is temporary for now. Let's just see. I'm not even going to flip the ignition on. Let's just see if it cranks. It does. I was worried that that starter, it's an old used starter, might not be any good, but let's try one more time. We definitely got compression. We're going to have to do that anyway at some point to build up oil pressure, but we're not quite ready for that yet. All right, so let's flip the ignition on. Oh, I thought I had turned the fans off so they wouldn't come on until it heated up. We might have to mess with that. Let's just disconnect our fan controller for now. All right, let's try that again. We don't need that fan going the whole time. Okay, we got power to the ECU, and then I heard it connect to the computer. Okay, so it's writing to the ECU right now. I don't see a progress bar. We're connected. Okay. I'm going to keep running down through this list, and I'll catch back up with you guys when there's something I want to talk to you about. All right, guys, so I was a little worried there for a little bit. I was going through that checklist, and it was getting to the point where it wanted me to start cranking, and I decided I need to step back for a second, and since this is a brand new engine, I wanted to make sure it's building oil pressure. And it was not. I was getting 0 oil pressure. I cranked it a handful of times. I mean, not a ton, but I cranked it, and I was not getting oil pressure. I popped off the oil filter. It was completely dry. So I started looking into other things. I decided, what if it's just not getting prime? Because again, it's a brand new engine. There's no oil in anything except for in the pan, and then we got the assembly lube on everything. So I popped the spark plugs out so it could, instead of building compression, it could crank over way faster, and we got oil pressure. All right, so I'll show you guys. Watch either this right here where it says oil pressure flashing red right now, or this graph right here, the greenish. Building oil pressure. Oh, yeah, that, I was pretty nervous there for a little bit because I was beginning to suspect we had a mechanical issue just because it should have built oil pressure by that point, but we're good now. So we're really close to firing this thing up. All right, it's time. I've already pressurized the fuel system previously, so we shouldn't have any leaks there. Let's crank it over. It started. Running. Holy crap, guys. I can't believe it started that easy. And I don't see any issues. I don't see any oil leaks. And didn't have any issues with the coils. I was a little worried about that because we don't have a bracket here to hold them down. It started right up. Ran nice and smooth. The idle was pretty high. I had it set pretty high. Just because I knew I wouldn't be able to, get over here and do anything with the throttle. Or at least not right away. But it's a shame we don't have coolant in the car because I can't sit here and let it run and make sure there's no other big issues. Now, the belt did squeal. I was worried about that. I talked to you guys about that before. It's a unfortunate belt routing setup, but we will see whether that persists or whether it goes away once the belt gets used up a little bit. So I don't know what to do from here. I'm going to mess around some more. Obviously, we're nowhere close to actually being able to run the car. I don't have brakes on the car. Clutch doesn't work because I'm waiting for a fitting. Don't have radiator hoses, no coolant in it. We got wiring all over the place. There's no windshield in the car, which would be kind of helpful to drive it around a little bit. Not that I would drive it around right now anyway, because winter here now, there's salt on the roads. I ain't not doing that. Not with this fresh, no rust chassis, fresh paint, all that stuff. So it wasn't even that loud. I guess the turbo does muffle it quite a bit, but I expect it to be a bit louder. I'm probably going to mess around with it some more and just start it a couple more times just because I want to. Make sure there's no issues, nothing like that. But I'm really, really happy with that for a first startup. I mean, it had the one real quick start and die, and then the next one, it started right up, idled perfectly smooth. So where do we go from here? I mean, there's plenty to do, I guess. We got to build the rest of the exhaust. We got to get those radiator hoses in. I'm waiting on parts for that. Once those come in, I will start it and let it idle for quite a while. We need to clean up our wiring in the bay. You can see it down there. It's pretty messy because I wasn't 100% sure what was going to happen. Actually, I'll probably wait until we get the radiator hoses because it's going to have to go down in this area anyway. And we need to get it up to temperature once we get the coolant so our oil cooler fills up. I don't believe it's full right now because it's got a thermostat on that sandwich adapter. Should not let any oil into the oil cooler until it gets up to temperature. So we'll have to deal with that. We need to build that coil bracket, which we'll have a video on that in a bit. It's going to take me a while to do that, but other than that, we got wiring to do. We got to get the chassis wired, which will allow us to get permanent wiring for the fuel pump and ignition and all that stuff. So honestly, this process with the ECUMaster Black was not that hard. There's plenty of documentation out there on how to get this going. Now, this is just initial base map. I don't know how close it's going to be to actually being able to run the car. We're going to have to do a bunch of street tuning. But it's at least enough that we can obviously start the car and we could drive it around and make sure it's not, you know, really lean, really rich, anything like that. But for a first start, I am incredibly happy with this. Let me know what you guys think down below. Leave me some comments. Give the car some love. I mean, brand new motor. Other than scaring me not building oil pressure at first, seems to be fine. Obviously, we're going to have to do an oil change in a couple hundred miles and do an oil analysis. I'll probably send off for an oil analysis, but yeah, really, really happy with this. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you really soon.